Well, hello there, motherfuckers. So I promised SmackDown reviews, and I figured why not do another Raw review? I don't know if I'm gonna get to SmackDown. I'll probably see if I could cook up a review tomorrow for you guys. But I got interested in this Raw because of This Is Your Life, the Bailey segment. Fans were losing their minds. I was like, well, the fans today, these goofball YWCers, IWCers, they don't like storylines. They don't like good promos that tell a story. So I was like, well, maybe it's actually a good segment. People didn't like House of Horrors, but I liked House of Horrors. People don't like sports entertainment, but oh boy, was I wrong. My God, we'll get to it. We start off with Miz TV. I liked Cesaro and Sheamus with the jackets. They look like a team. They act like a team. And I'm liking this new heel persona that they're putting forth. I like the team to start out with. It's giving both guys something to do. You kind of feel like this tag team was desperation because they couldn't figure out what the fuck to do with these guys in singles matches, in singles competition. So they figured, let's make them a team. I don't think it was as intricate as a lot of, fanboys like to make out like it was. It's just like, let's just put them together. They had this series of matches that people didn't really give a shit about, and then they made him a team. This turns into a tag team match. You get the Hardys and Ambrose defeating Sheamus, Cesaro, and Miz. Now, here's the thing about this match. I was looking on YouTube. You had a bunch of goofballs talking about botches and stuff, and I'm like, what botches are we talking about here? Um, there was one point where Sheamus was shaking the ropes, but Ambrose no sold it. He did the dive anyway. I don't know what that was about. I tried looking to see what people were talking about. They said the twist of fate. They were complaining because Jeff Hardy did a stunner twist of fate, a move that he has done since TNA. I remember seeing this guy doing that move since TNA, since he first showed up in TNA. Then you had Matt Hardy do a swinging neck breaker twist of fate, and people were saying, "Oh, he botched it." He didn't botch it at all. This was just a variation on the move. These guys had been doing variations of their finisher for years, decades even. And the thing is, it just shows that these nerds on the internet, they think that they know wrestling, how to wrestle better than guys that have been training and competing in huge national companies for 20 years, for 2 decades. And they're trying to criticize and say they know wrestling better, making like it's easy. It's really easy to sit there at your computer and say, "Oh, I could have, done it better." I mean, you got to be joking. You take a look at some of these goofballs. You listen to, oh, and I will be doing a rant, sure enough, on Dave Meltzer. People wanted me to talk a little bit about Dave Meltzer. Michael Polston said that I should do a rant, and you know what? He's absolutely right. I should do a rant, and I did say I would do it, and I've been putting it off for a while. But I've been listening to, I never really paid too much mind to Dave Meltzer. When I was younger, I was, reading Scott Keith, and I was thinking to myself, oh, Dave Meltzer must be a genius in the wrestling business, and I didn't want to subscribe to the newsletter, but I find that, like, Meltzer is like, everybody says, oh, what a genius mind he has. And even though he hasn't worked a day in WWE, hasn't worked a day in TNA, hasn't even worked a day in ROH. And people's, this is a guy who hasn't been a wrestler, hasn't been an announcer, hasn't been anything, hasn't held any job. He just all of a sudden one day says, I'm a wrestling journalist, and he starts writing a newsletter online, and all of a sudden everybody has to worship him because he invented the star system. What an intricate system it is. Rating us. This is why I stopped doing star ratings when I do a pay-per-view review. I am not. I said I'm not doing that crap because it was way too smarky to start. Rating matches like Dave Meltzer, who's a fucking joke. He's a fraud. And this guy has been reporting things for years, making guesses about predetermined scripted shit, and everybody is bowing down to him. This guy is making predictions on fake shit. And he's just taking wild guesses. He says he knows people. It's like the news today when you watch it. Sources they start talking about. Dave Meltzer is like CNN. It's all fake news, all fake wrestling news. All he does, he starts talking about what did he say? AJ was going to be on Raw for years to come, and AJ's on SmackDown now. Where the hell is this guy's credibility? He acts like he has all the credibility in the world. He makes dozens of mistakes a month per newsletter and doesn't print a single retraction. What a fucking fraud. So a rant will be coming soon on that guy. Corey Graves is texting with Angle, and it's like, I gotta give credit. They're making like stuff is happening on Raw, but when they do it, it's just so random and unexpected. It's like I don't even get it. Corey Graves leaves the announcers table. Something's actually happening on Raw. I've never, besides an overly scripted promo or, a 20-minute match, Corey Graves goes up to Kurt Angle backstage. And he shows him a text, and it kind of took me a while before I figured out what was going on here. Apparently, Corey Graves got forwarded a text saying that Angle is an embarrassment, but not giving us any information at all. It's a mystery, so I guess but like, why should we tune in? Why is this a threat to Angle? Why is this a threat to his reputation? It says that it could ruin him. And if you guys think I'm explaining this poorly, go watch the clip on YouTube. It makes no fucking sense. He leaves the announcer's table, tells Angle that he's got a text. Well, what does the text say? Are we getting any details? I'm not interested because really I'm not even given enough information here to even care. The whole point of Raw or SmackDown is to have us coming back week after week. There's not enough of a cliffhanger here. You have to give us more information for us to be interested. It's okay to have a bit of a mystery, but there was another mystery on here related to Corey Graves, and I'm going to get to that too. Elias Sampson defeated the Jobber. I like that. This guy has a character and everything. He's wrestling Dean Ambrose one week, and now he beats Dean Ambrose, and the next week he's wrestling a Jobber. Why is he being downgraded? Shouldn't it have been the other way around? It's like, how come nothing in this company is booked with any intelligence or logic? It's just all over the place. Every single thing on this show is always, it's all lopsided. Nothing ever makes any logical sense. If you've already established him by having him beat a former world champion, why the hell the next week would you put him against a Jobber? Obviously, he's going to beat him. At least the guy has a gimmick. He has a character. He's interesting. So, but he's got like the same look. He has the same look as Seth Rollins, the same look as Neville, the long hair, long dark hair with the beard. I don't know what it is. I mean, the guitar thing sets him apart. He's singing before the match. It's entertaining. This is like just another character that is gonna go nowhere. It's like, what's his name? I don't even remember with the don't be a lemon guy. What the fuck was his name? I don't even remember his name for God's sakes. It's kind of like that. Going in with a lot of hype from NXT, something popular from NXT, they bring it to Raw, and chances are it's going to be completely butchered. Um, Samoa Joe defeated Bray Wyatt. Yes, Bray Wyatt, the former world champion, already losing. You notice he's the one who's getting pinned in this match. And fuck boy Balor. Yes, triple threat match out of nowhere. They put all these, big stars in a match just at random. No promotion, no nothing. Just throwing them out there. There's no story being told at all. It's just, here's 3 out of the 5 guys who are going to be wrestling at Extreme Rules. Oh, okay. Um, and the one who's getting pinned is Bray Wyatt, the one who has the most worth in the match. And we're giving it to Samoa Joe. And I see people, I'm watching on YouTube, uh, people, oh, Joe, and the Beast, it's going to be epic. That, first of all, nobody's going to watch that. That's not going to draw anybody. First of all, I'm going to be honest. Besides the YWC, nobody gives a fuck about Fatso Joe. No one cares about him. Do you see the numbers going up? Do you see the ratings? For years and years, we had people talking about, oh, I can't wait till Samoa Joe comes to WWE. In all honesty, Stone Cold was also a big fan of Joe. He called for, the thing was, when Joe was in developmental, I remember reading about him in WWE Magazine. They had him back in 2002. They were showing Samoa Joe when it was OVW and he was down there, and they were talking about, how this guy, was like a Samoan, and he could be like the next great Samoan, but he's not even part of the popular bloodline. He's not in the same family, of like the Head Shrinkers and Roman Reigns and the Usos and The Rock. So nobody really cares about him. That's the thing. The reason why Joe is there because internet goofballs have hijacked WWE. That's the only reason he's there, because everybody cried for their fat boyfriend to be in WWE, and he's finally here. But the hype around Joe, that was over a decade ago. Nobody cares about him anymore. You see, now he's here when WWE has a whole different mentality. McMahon has a different mentality. Stephanie McMahon, has a different mentality. It's all about having longer matches. Oh, yeah, don't you see the ratings going up now that they're having 20, 30, 40-minute matches on Raw? Soon we're gonna have 50 match. Soon we're gonna have one big match that's just gonna take up the whole entire 3 hours of Raw, because we all want longer matches. That's what's gonna save WWE. So there you go. Joe gets the win. Bray Wyatt, the guy with the character, the guy with the good promos, the one guy that has many layers to him, who's just champion. Contributed to a great segment. House of Horrors. But guess what? Nope. He's the one who's gonna take the loss in this match. Rich Swann defeats Noam Chomsky. No, Noam Dar. So you got Alicia Fox out there. You've got Sasha Banks. Sasha's dancing with Rich Swann. And what's going on here? So now we've realized that Sasha's boring. We realized that there's nothing really, they can't figure out what to do with Alicia Fox. One week she's crazy. The next week she's normal. The next week she's like cheating on one of the cruiserweights with the other. They're talking about Cedric Alexander. Who, and Sasha's all of a sudden there. How did Sasha get involved in the cruiserweights? It's like, this is what I thought when I first saw Alicia Fox in there as a valet for Noam Chomsky. So it's like they can't figure out what to do with her, so they're gonna throw her in another division to just make her a valet. That's probably better for her. But now Sasha's a valet too. She was just wrestling the champion. What happened to Charlotte and Sasha? This big feud that they basically what they did is they shoved Sasha down everybody's throats. And then even WWE got sick of her. The boss, yeah, the boss is nothing more than some random person who's going to be on 205 Live. Uh, like, no one now even cares about Sasha Banks. They killed their own commodity. They wanted Sasha to be this big star. They listened to all the fans, boss with the sunglasses and shit. And now what happened to her? She's a nobody. They're putting her in the mixed tag match, whatever is that at Extreme Rules. It'll be on the pre-shows or on 205 Live. I don't know, and I don't care. Basically, like it's what I said. She's like a reject now. Now she's not even good enough to be in the women's division. So now she's like not really in the cruiserweight division. She's just hanging around on the sidelines. What a fucking joke. Don't you see? It's like they should be embarrassed to even broadcast their failures like this. Hey guys, we messed up Sasha's career. Here it is on display to the fucking world. I've never seen them like this before. I mean, like I've said, this is the same company where you have announcers admitting that the product is bad. This product is terrible. I mean, they are showing you right here in front of your face that they don't even know what to do with their own talent. You've got champions, guys who had belts 1 or 2 months ago. You've got like AJ Styles, a former champion, who's like losing. Then you've got you have Bray Wyatt losing, Dean Ambrose, with the Intercontinental belt now. Like everyone gets a downgrade. Where's the momentum? I've asked this for how many years on this channel. Does anybody have momentum? What is it like? Once somebody gets a belt, they have to instantly start discrediting them. It's like, are they trying to purposely fuck themselves up? Because to me, it looks like WWE's on the suicide mission. They're listening to nerdy ass fanboys on the internet, and they're basically just kind of doing the old samurai suicide with themselves. Just plunging the sword into themselves by constantly doing the same goofball tactics. They have no idea how to build or maintain stuff. This is why I said this is why I fear for Jinder Mahal. What an asset to this company. A great heel, a great look, great facial expressions, great match at the pay-per-view. A look for the ages. Could be the next big star. Got a lot of guys actually on the roster that could be the next big thing, but no offense to Lesnar, but you got a lot of potential on this roster, believe it or not. But the thing is, they don't know how to go about it. We always ask, why doesn't WWE build new stars, or they do build new stars, but they don't know how to maintain it. If they did, why does it seem like everybody wins a belt 1 month and then they're wrestling for the Intercontinental title the very next month? That's what I said. What about Stone Cold and The Rock? It's like The Rock. Wouldn't it be weird if, like, 1 week he won, he won the world title? Say we're in '99, and then a couple of weeks later he wins the European Championship. It just wouldn't happen because it would just look bizarre. Like, why would he go after a secondary title when he's already got the grand prize? Hey, let's go through this a little bit more. The Revival gets an interview. Um, they're showing footage of when Enzo was attacked from next week. Uh, it's like they're like really desperately trying to have storylines on here, but there's one problem: they need to be interesting. And we all know that at the end of the day that they're going to pull something obvious about this. It's not going to be a surprise at the end of the day who attacked Enzo. It's going to be another eye roller. It really is just so obvious. You could see where this is headed from a mile away. Um, I'm not going to speculate on what they're going to do here. I don't even have any fucking idea. It might be the revival. It might be. I don't know. So you've got Corey Graves. He makes a comment again. Like Corey Graves is getting really active tonight. First, he's leaving the announce table to talk to Angle in the back at like randomly. Then he says, Big Cass should have an invested interest in the footage that we just saw of like Enzo, getting attacked from last week. And I don't know, Big Cass gets annoyed, thinks he's insinuating something. There's a handshake. I'm like really break it down. It's almost like what did Graves say that really pissed Big Cass, off that much that he had to come out and almost attack him? And why didn't he just attack him? It would have made sense that Cass isn't in the mood to take any shit, but he's shaking hands. But by Graves saying that, I thought it was gonna be like maybe Graves was just saying that Big Cass is going to look into this now, but he's getting annoyed at him to the point where he comes out like then. If you're gonna make that the storyline, are they trying to make Graves some type of messenger? I mean, it would be interesting to add that element to the commentary, but it's like they're doing it in a very lazy fashion here. It's like Big Cass is getting annoyed. It's like he didn't even say anything that bad that would annoy him to make it realistic, to be a motivator, to have him come all the way out there to confront Graves. I'm always very perplexed. Whenever they do anything, it's like I always said this. They don't do enough to justify anything. When they have a wrestler getting pissed off, it's like something that wouldn't really annoy people in real life. Uh, Titus O'Neil is up next. He beats Kalisto. And the funny thing is, you've got this big guy, Titus O'Neil, trying to impress Apollo Crews, who he's trying to take under his wing. He beats Kalisto by grabbing his tights. A big guy like Titus O'Neil, 6'6", 6'7", almost 300 pounds. And this guy who's like less than 200 pounds, he pins him by grabbing his tights. Does he really need to grab his tights to beat him? So many things on here just look so fucking ridiculous. A big guy like that is having trouble putting away. Now, I know he beat Ryback and stuff like that, but even still, to have to beat a guy like this, the only way you could keep him down is to grab his tights. Up next was the big segment that made me want to, watch this Raw and see what was it about. So it wasn't on YouTube. I had to go, and just watch it separately. Alexa Bliss comes down, and of course, the idiots on the internet, of course, on YouTube, the IWC, they have to always, try to blame somebody. But if they'll never blame creative, always blame the wrestler. Is Roman Reigns being booked poorly? Blame Reigns. Is this segment bad? Blame Alexa. First of all, it seemed like everything was going off the rails with this whole Enzo thing. Was the Corey Graves thing with Angle related to the Enzo thing? Because, Corey Graves seemed to be like he was involved in everything tonight. But that's not about Graves now. We're going to talk about This Is Your Life. So they've done This Is Your Life twice. We all know the classic one with The Rock and Mick Foley. It's very obvious that that was one of the biggest, highest rated segments in all of Raw history, in all of WWE television history. And it's a classic moment by two legends, just putting their best foot forward with classic entertainment, that, has been repeated and shown, on the network, on WWE Confidential. We have seen it time and time again. It's been on Mick Foley's DVD. It's been on The Rock's DVD. It's been on every single thing. And a lot of times, this is kind of like the segment we try to forget about. We had a "This Is Your Life" for John Cena, and it was like a very, very awkward segment where, yeah, you had John Cena meeting up with Bull Buchanan, and even that wasn't as bad as this, because as we all know, WWE just keeps getting worse and worse. So, this is the third "This Is Your Life." And there's no Mick Foley to speak of this time around. Instead, it's Alexa Bliss. And I will say this before anything to the goofballs out there. Alexa Bliss, I was listening to her. She did the best she could. She is a trooper. She is a real champ. I'll give her this. She put effort into this segment. It was the writing here. This was creative. This was McMahon who greenlighted this shit. This is Stephanie McMahon's fault. This is not Alexa Bliss's fault. Bliss tried hard in this segment. You could hear it in her voice. She really tried to be snappy here, be sarcastic where it was needed, trying to do it. But what they did was they had a bunch of actors. I don't know if they're, developmental talent, that we haven't seen before. But, basically they tried to do the same routine here that they did with The Rock. But they tried to do it with Bayley. So Bayley's not even out there for this. The difference here is that instead of, Bayley actually being there and it being friendly, this was supposed to be a negative "This Is Your Life." And that was the difference. So this was the negative version of it, the heel version. And this could have been interesting. They could have made fun of Bayley, but this went on for so fucking long. It was like 10 minutes, 8, 9 minutes maybe, and then the attack at the end where Bayley finally got upset and ran in. So, she starts reading Bayley's yearbook, and it's like not even realistic, at least with The Rock's "This Is Your Life." You could understand that some of that stuff might have been real. So, most likely to apologize. She was voted for in high school. It wasn't funny. It was bad. And that was the stuff that Alexa Bliss was like reading that out of the yearbook. That wasn't something that she came up with or ad-libbed. That's not her material. That is what was given to her to read in a script. So she tried her best. You could see she tried to be snappy. She tried to be charismatic here. And it just wasn't working because it was a bad segment. So what else can you really say about this? Let's see. Oh, the next thing is Bayley's teacher. They say that the teacher says that she always had her dad sitting next to her. This was a big theme. Then the classmate says that she always had her dad next to her, and then you had her ex-boyfriend saying that she always had her dad there, and they kept doing this joke over and over, and it was like, what were they? Were they trying to make people laugh? It was just very, very uncomfortable. They were like trying to do jokes, and try to demean Bayley in a way where it was almost like they were making a joke out of Bayley. This is why I said I didn't like her childish character, because it's hard to get behind somebody this goofy as a champion. Now you could say, okay, now you could kind of see why they would do "This Is Your Life," because it involved Mick Foley. Mick Foley acted goofy, but Mick Foley was likable, because also Mick Foley used to fly off the top of fucking cages. Um, anyway, so then they do like the ex-boyfriend then starts making out with Bailey's classmate, and I'm like, what the hell is this even supposed to be? You've got to be kidding me here. They actually, somebody actually came up with these ideas, which is just downright frightening. I mean, like, who came up with that idea at the end to just have them start making out? The crowd. This is not the smarky crowd. You got it. This crowd was a little bit better than usual crowds. They were revolting during this segment, and rightfully so. I mean, this crowd just, what was this even supposed to be? You have to say, what was this supposed to accomplish? If you're trying to embarrass, basically it went on way too fucking long. This shit kept going and going and going with no end in sight. There was no end in sight for this segment. They kept just throwing one element after another, and it was like, enough already. We get the point. Alexa's trying to embarrass Bailey, but it's like, it's not fun to watch this. Like, we could, the one with Rock and Foley was like 15, 20 minutes or something, but that's because that was entertaining and it was funny. And, you just wanted to see more and more. This was like, you couldn't wait for it to end. It was terrible from beginning to end. If there was anything good to come out of this, it showed that Alexa Bliss, even when shit is bad, she still tries. I mean, she is invested in her work. So that's what pissed me off when I saw all these goofballs online trying to attack her. It's not her fault. She tried very, very hard to try to make this work. But this was like trying to, like, give your girlfriend a bouquet, except it's not flowers, it's shit. It's like trying to present something that's horrible in a good way and trying to please people. No one was going to like this. The thing is like, why would they think that this was going to entertain anybody? It was quite obviously horrible. And this is why they're completely disconnected. They tried to do something sports entertainment. And I'm going to tell you, this is why they're going to say, oh, sports entertainment doesn't work anymore because this failed. Yeah, of course it failed because it wasn't good. This is what I said. You try to have a storyline, you try to go with the extra mile, but you have to write it well. You can't just be like, oh, well, it failed, so now we're not going to do it. But watch them use that excuse. They're going to try to use that excuse that this was bad and that they tried to do sports entertainment and it's not relevant anymore because it's not good the way they're writing it. Enzo is attacked again backstage. This is getting tiresome. Even before they started doing this as a storyline, how many times has Enzo gotten attacked so they could put another person in the match there with Big Cass? Austin Aries and Jack Gallagher defeated TJP, and Neville. Like you said, I like the Neville Aries storyline, but my God, how many times are they gonna do this same tag match? And did they call TJP the Duke of Dab? What is up with the nicknames with this fucking guy? First, you've called him TJP, which is still the most ridiculous acronym I've ever heard in my life. But the Duke of Dab, are they really going to make that his official nickname? He should get a tattoo that says nerd right here on his forehead, because that is the only thing that makes sense. That's the only nickname. TJ Nerdkins. I said, just change his name to that. At least I could buy that. At least I could understand that. Goldust is back, and, this is the character that he should have had. Why did they do Golden Truth for so long and drag that out? Did that shit really need to last for half a year? for a year and a half. Excuse me, it was going on way longer than that. A year and a half almost with a tag team that accomplished nothing. And they break them up. A good promo and everything with Goldust and a retort from R-Truth. But I look at both these guys and I see potential just completely wasted. Rewind to 2011. R-Truth was like on the top of the world at one point, and then they just canceled out his push. Then you could even say with Goldust, he came back in the best shape of his life. And, all he wanted to do was wrestle his brother at WrestleMania. People keep saying, oh, nobody wanted to see that. Uh, yes, I think brother versus brother would be interesting for one of the biggest wrestling families in the world. It's Dusty Rhodes' sons. They could have done it when Dusty was still alive, and it would have been excellent. Instead, no, they're going to just, they did away with that. They lost their opportunity. It could have been an epic angle, but they completely fucked up, and now that could never happen. The main event, Roman Reigns defeated Seth Rollins. Finally, and I see the comments on YouTube. Do you really have to have Roman beat everybody that he goes against? Yeah, Braun Strowman on the last pay-per-view for Raw beat him. So, yeah, Roman Reigns does not beat everybody. First of all, this was the first time that he beat Seth Rollins. And second of all, why not? And, well, third of all, I kind of agree. Why is Roman beating Rollins right? Like, it makes no sense to have any of these guys lose before a big fatal five-way. By them pinning somebody prior to that match, the winner of this is going to go against Brock Lesnar. So the fact that anybody is getting pinned by anything less than Brock Lesnar is going to instantly make that guy seem less credible. Basically, now Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins, they can't win this fatal five-way because nobody's going to buy them going over Lesnar, or even when they wrestle Lesnar, no one's going to believe that they could beat him, which kind of makes me a little bit paranoid that they are going to go with Balor. And I would not be surprised if that's who wins. If they give it to Balor, I've already did a whole video. Go check that out. If Balor goes over Brock, fuck boy Balor, it's going to be a shit show. And you've got people that, do want to see it. They even admitted to me they do want to see it, but they don't want to see Balor go. Why would anybody want to see this at all? See that little tiny goofball go against Lesnar. What is there to, what are you going to get out of this? You think it's going to be a good match? It's a good match. It's not going to be a good match. It's going to be just a real uninteresting mismatch is what it is. It's a mismatch. You can't put these two guys out there and make it believable. Lesnar would tear this guy's head off. In 2 minutes, it'd be like fucking Mortal Kombat with a fatality. And then he'd kick the guy's head like right through the fucking roof. It would not make sense to have this match. It makes sense in goofball YWC land where, they don't care. You could have huge giants going against tiny little guys and them triumphing over them. It makes sense in their world. Shitty Raw, there was confusion with Corey Graves and stuff. This is your life segment that was like, huh? Like, first of all, that was an embarrassment. And they really should apologize to Alexa Bliss and even to Bayley for having them be involved in that. But the thing was, Bayley came out at the end. Alexa Bliss actually had to stand there and perform that shit. And you knew that Alexa Bliss, she's young, but she would know that what she was doing out there was garbage because she knows her shit. She knows how to work the crowd. She was trying to do, fight the crowd on the what chance and all that. But that she knew that this segment was complete garbage, but she gets all the credit in the world. So the who's the VIP here? I'm gonna on this show. I'm gonna give it to Alexa Bliss. Very very strong performance for somebody performing in a very very uncomfortable, horribly written segment. But she tried very hard, so she definitely gets all the credit from me. And to all the stupid, dumb fuck boys on YouTube giving the Hardys a hard time. You wanted the Hardys to be in WWE so bad, and you're giving them a tough time about a variation on the twist of fate. How about a variation on your fucking brains? Like I said, you think you could do a better job, go to a wrestling school, learn how to cut a real promo, learn how to wrestle a match. These guys are 20-year veterans. Had enough. The YWC is conquering WWE with the goofball mentality, and this is what we're going to get because of it. And, unfortunately, they're going to keep coming back to the same thing about sports entertainment. It doesn't work because, look, we tried it with This Is Your Life. And then you notice that the original This Is Your Life was written by Vince Russo, and This Is Your Life is written by 40 writers now in WWE, and McMahon and Stephanie greenlighting that shit. What a joke. There you go, motherfuckers. There's your Raw review. Until next time.